What's up, it's your boy Two-Time Moto TV, and we're back with another video. Today we have a 2002 Chevrolet Silverado. We're going to be changing out the tensioner pulley and the belt for the AC compressor slash crank pulley. And this application will work for a 99 through 2008 Chevy Silverado 5.3 liter. Here we have the tensioner pulley. We have the AC belt. We have a 3/8 ratchet. We have a 15mm wrench. We have a 15mm ratchet. We have a flathead screwdriver. And we also have some needle nose pliers. These are the tools you're gonna need to get the job done. First thing you're gonna wanna do before you take anything apart is make sure that your wheel is turned all the way to the right. So you wanna have it turned all the way to the passenger side. Next, you're just gonna wanna remove this hose from your coolant reservoir. So you'll take your needle nose pliers. You just wanna pinch this clip here, pinch it together and pull back. When replacing the belt on this vehicle, if you don't have a belt there already, then I suggest that you replace the pulley, and I'll show you guys here in a second why. I don't currently have a belt on mine because of this tensioner pulley, but once we get to that part, I will show you guys why it's important. If you're going to replace the belt, also replace the pulley. Next, you're gonna wanna remove your cold air intake box tubing. So you're gonna wanna remove it from the intake manifold and also from your cold air intake box. On this application, we have a aftermarket cold air intake. So that's the reason why we removed this coolant hose from the reservoir, because it was running on top. On your application, it may be running underneath. If that's the case, you don't have to remove this, but you will have to remove your cold air intake tubing. So what you're gonna wanna do is take your flathead and you're gonna want to turn this counterclockwise. And also you're gonna wanna turn the front one by your cold air intake box counterclockwise until both are loose, like so. And you can just pull back on this side here and do the same on this side here. And your intake tube should come off very easy. Next, grab your 15mm ratchet, and you will see 3 pulleys on the top of this 5.3 liter. So not the far right one, but the far left one. So you got 1 pulley, 2 pulley, 3 pulleys. You're gonna wanna put your 15mm on the front nut of the far left pulley, and you're gonna wanna push down right, so clockwise. And once you got that pushed down, you should be able to drop your belt. You don't have to take it completely off, just drop it. And I will put up a diagram on the rerouting of your belt, so you guys don't worry about that, don't panic. So with this being the very front of the truck, you're gonna wanna slide directly underneath, and you guys will see a black skid plate. There are 5 bolts that you wanna take off. They are 15mm. There's 3 in the very front, and then there's 2 in the very rear. So just take your 15mm and get up underneath here like so, and lefty loosey, take off all 5 bolts. With the skid plate removed, you now have access to the bottom pulleys of your 5.3 liter engine. And the reason why this truck does not have AC is because you guys can see that there is no rear belt. I did not take it off. And the reason for that belt not being there is because of this tensioner pulley here. That's the reason why we bought another one. As you guys see, it does not spin at all. It is seized up. I'm trying to turn it either way and it does not turn whatsoever. So it's basically locked up. So that's the reason why they recommend you to get a tensioner pulley when you do replace your belt. And it's just best bet to do that because these things tend to go bad all the time. So your best bet to get a lot of life out of your belt and your AC compressor is just to get another pulley, which is only 40 bucks, and the belt itself was 30. So $70 altogether will get your AC back running. Another thing I do want to mention, if you don't want to replace your belt, the only thing you have to do is drop your belt. You're going to want to stick your 3/8 wrench in here. You're going to want to pull down, and you basically have your pulley coming down like so. So stick your 3/8 in this square slot here and pull down, and your pulley should basically disengage the belt. You just kind of unwrap the belt, and then we'll go on to the next step. So to remove this pulley, you have two 15mm bolts at the bottom of the pulley. You have one here that I'm pointing at, and then you have one on the back side here that I have my finger on. So that's where your 15mm wrench will come in handy, because it's pretty tight here. And also, this is the reason why you want to turn your wheel far right, because it basically gets this island arm out of your way. If it was straight, it'll almost be touching this area here. So therefore, it'll be harder for you to get this backside bolt. So take your 15mm ratchet. I have an extension on mine. If you don't have one, then don't worry about it. You'll still be able to get to it. It'll just be a little bit tougher. But just take your 15mm with an extension, and you're just gonna want to lefty-loosey. You got the bolt completely out on the right side. So now just go up underneath, and directly up underneath the tensioner pulley, you're just gonna want to put your 15mm open wrench on there like so. I have one that's like a ratchet style that works perfect, and as you guys can see, the tensioner pulley is moving. I am now extracting the bolt. Simple. You may even be able to get up in here with a 15mm ratchet, but it'll just make it a lot harder because you don't have as much room to move. But if you do have a open end wrench, it doesn't have to be a ratchet style. You can just wrench away. You have a lot of space, a lot of movement space. As you see, I can move my wrench all the way to the left. Not so much to the right, but definitely all the way to the left. So with the old tensioner pulley off, you guys can see that there's a size difference in both wheels, but you can also see that there's a size difference in both bottom plates. This one is a lot bigger. They made a lot smaller wheel, and it's not made of metal like this one. This is the one that came with the vehicle. As you guys can see, it doesn't even roll or anything. Like, it doesn't even move. Look at that. And I'm trying to roll it on the ground, it doesn't even move. It's locked in place. So they stopped making them like this and made it with more of a, I feel like it's plastic, maybe metal, but it's not this kind of metal that they had back in 2002. So don't be afraid and say that you feel like that you got the wrong wheel, because if you guys can see, they both sit up still about the same height. This wheel is just a little bit smaller, but the metal plating is a little bit taller than this side here. So I don't want to bore you guys with the theatrics. So what you're going to do, you're going to want to just do a reverse process. How you took it off is how you need to put it back on. But you're just going to want to snug both of the bolts first before you tighten either one down. So make sure you snug your first one just to kind of hold it in place. And then you're going to want to tighten each one of them. And if you guys are worried about torque value, the torque value is 37 foot-pound. Me, I didn't have to torque mine. I pretty much know how tight it needs to be. And you're just gonna wanna snug one first, then you're gonna wanna put the other one on snug, and then you can go and tighten each individual one to 37 foot-pound if you want to. I didn't do it, I just tightened mine both to how I know how tight it needs to be, and you'll be fine. Now you have a pulley installed. Let's go to the next step. All right, so next, here's a good tip before you even attempt to put the belt on. You're gonna wanna take the belt out of the sleeve that it come in when you buy it from the store. You're just gonna stretch it out just a little bit. So just put it in your hand like a rubber band, and then just pull it a few times. You ain't gotta pull it real hard, but just loosen it up a little bit, because this thing will be a pain to get on here. So you're gonna wanna start it over your AC clutch here. You're not gonna wanna put it on the ribs where you see the belt at. You're gonna wanna start it on the AC clutch here. You're gonna wanna put it over your tensioner, and then you're just gonna wanna wrap it around your entire crank pulley. Now, you're gonna wanna use your 3/8 ratchet and go ahead and stick in here. Make sure that your belt is above it, close to your tensioner pulley, and you're just gonna wanna pull down on it. So it's the same way as taking the belt off, it's the same way that you will put the belt on. But like I said, you're gonna wanna start it over your AC clutch here, not on the ribs, but on the front of the clutch. You're gonna wanna put it over your tensioner pulley. You're gonna wanna wrap it around your crank pulley. Very simple. The diagram is on the screen if you guys need the diagram for your AC and crank pulley. And then you're just gonna pull down up on your tensioner pulley and then just feed the belt on the ribs of your AC clutch. The belt should already be seated on your crank pulley once you bring it over your tensioner. It should already be seated around. Make sure that you go around your entire crank pulley. Make sure that it's seated up there in the inside of the ribs. And also make sure that it's on the very top of your tensioner, and you're gonna wanna make sure that it's seated in the ribs of your AC clutch. But once you work this belt out, once you take it out of the sleeve and work it out, it'll make it 10 times easier. Do not attempt to put this belt on without stretching it a few times. But as you guys can see, we got the belt on. So now the only thing that's left to do is to put the actual engine belt back on, which the diagram is on the screen. If you got a result back to it, it was in mid video, and also for the AC and crank pulley here. So after you study the diagram, you make sure that you put your belt on right. Make sure that it's around each pulley correctly and seated. You're just gonna wanna rinse and repeat. You're just gonna wanna rewind the steps. So put your intake tube back on, button that down with your 2 screws. Then you're gonna wanna take your coolant hose and put it back into your coolant reservoir. Make sure that everything is tight. Also, do not forget your skid plate that you took off with the 5 bolts at the bottom. And after you went over your entire checklist and make sure that everything is tight and buttoned up, it's time to fire this vehicle on up to make sure that the AC works. Let's crank on up. Sounds good so far. And it looks good. You guys can see right through there, the AC compressor pulley is now turning. It was not turning before because it did not have a belt. You can see it turning. AC clutch should be still in the front. Yes, it is. It's not moving. You guys can see right through here where I'm pointing at. That's the AC clutch. It is not turning. It's not supposed to just yet. But I do not have the AC on. Let's go turn it on. Make sure that it's on max. So we got to turn to cold. We got to turn to the vents. And let's put it on max setting with AC. I just heard the clutch engage. Let's go check it out. I already felt the cold air. And voila, there we go in the front. AC clutch down there is now turning. You guys can see. That's how you install a air compressor belt. Here are the part numbers for both the belt and the tensioner pulley. I bought both from O'Reilly's, if you guys was wondering. If you guys have any questions, please leave your comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Difficulty level for this project here was about a 3 out of 10. It only took about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to complete with just the bare minimum of tools. If you guys got the tools as I explained, then you should have no issues with installing or disassembling anything on this truck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. 2Time Moto TV out. And until next time, peace.